So Kayla Ship is a wonderful guide and teacher who guided our congregation. We've already heard from her colleagues Ariel and Yitzchak, and I'm really grateful to Keshet for offering their expertise to us on this series of Sundays, which Kayla organized for us. So thank you, Kayla. You name your topic for today so that I don't get it wrong, okay? And okay. I think it's a really great topic.
All right, so let me share my screen and get into a presentation. Does that sound right? Sound good?
Sure.
All right, where'd it go? Here we go. And let me put this into, there we go. All right, so I call it Yiddishkeit in the Israeli Hit Parade. Sort of Yiddishkeit and Galgalatz. For those of you who might know, one of the very popular radio stations here is the Army Radio, Galgalatz. So the whole idea is what's it mean to be a popular radio station here in Israel? What kind of music are you playing? And I think that we'll have a little, glimpse into parts of Israeli society, but with an interesting focus, I think. I just want to say it's a non-exhaustive, non-methodological, partial survey of Israeli songs. I'm not a musicologist. It's not like I took an advanced course in Israeli music or anything. This is really grows out of just my living here, being here, and maybe by not being a native-born Israeli, being able to sort of look in from the outside a little bit to what's going on when you listen to the countdowns. So,
Kayla, can I tell you something?
Yes.
At our online Hanukkah lighting, someone shared a song by an Israeli singer that it uses the prayer Hanerot Halalu, but talks about how our children Halalu that are not ours to use, but only to. Are you familiar with this song?
Maybe if I heard it in the Hebrew.
Yeah. Anyway, so it's right along those lines. It was a beautiful pop song based on the Hanukkah prayer. It's beautiful.
Right. So, and I'm going to, not using that song, but we're going to see in other songs how we're going to touch on Jewish themes and through just and this is popular music. I'm talking, if I know these songs, then they're definitely, in the top 10. I'm not listening to, very niche music. This is what's playing on the most popular radio station in Israel. That's what I listen to. So first of all, why I love living in Israel, and one of the motivations for my making Aliyah many years ago was the idea of living a Jewish rhythm to my life, living a Jewish life just the way it happens. And what is a Jewish life? It's one that's going to revolve around Shabbat and the Jewish holidays and Jewish time. And so I'm going to start off with this beautiful song that came out a few years ago by Rami Kleinstein. He's very popular. I describe him a little bit as sort of like the Billy Joel of Israel. He plays piano. He's a singer-songwriter, quite popular amongst different generations. And here's a song called Matanot Ktanot, and I found a version where it actually has the Hebrew and the English and transliteration all at the same time. So no further ado, and just let me know if it's not loud enough.
זה עוד יום שישי, נושם את האוויר, האור והצל משחקים שוב תופסת. השולחן ערוך, תמונות ילדות על הקיר, שיירות לבנות חוזרות מבית כנסת. והריח הזה ששורט לי את הלב, מתגנב ופותח דלתות אל אושר קטן, אל אותו שיר ישן שעובר אצלנו במשך דורות. מתנות קטנות, מישהו שלח לי מתנות קטנות, רסיסים של כוונה, עיגולים של אמונה. מתנות קטנות, מישהו שלח לי מתנות קטנות, קטנות, כמו הכוח לקבל את מה שאין, את מה שיש, מה עוד אפשר כבר לבקש. זה עוד יום שישי, מרפסת ועיתון, השמש כמו הדאגות לאט נמחקת, מנגינות פשוטות זוחלות מהחלום, ושום שערה כבר לא תסתיר פה את השקט. מתנות קטנות, מישהו שלח לי מתנות קטנות, רסיסים של כוונה, עיגולים של אמונה. מתנות קטנות, מישהו שלח לי מתנות קטנות, כמו הכוח לקבל את מה שאין, את מה שיש, מה עוד אפשר כבר לבקש. מתנות קטנות. קיבלנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת, ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. והריח הזה ששורט לי את הלב.
All right, I'm just going to pause it there because we have a lot that we want to get to. But here's a song that's about Shabbat, and it's about that Friday afternoon, that beautiful time when sort of everything's starting to close down, and it doesn't matter where you are in the country. It's not only Jerusalem. You feel Shabbat coming in, you know, very hip cosmopolitan Tel Aviv or up north or down south, wherever, that quiet time. People are home. They're getting ready to go to Shabbat dinner. Some people are going to synagogue. Some people are waiting, you know, like he said, reading the newspaper on his porch, seeing other people going to and from synagogue, and then putting in the kiddush right into that prayer, because that resonates with people, whether or not you're from a secular household or not. You know that prayer, you've heard that prayer, it means something to you. You automatically have the connotation when you hear that of Shabbat. So that was just one song that I wanted to sort of get things kicking off with. And then, yes.
So is Rami Kleinstein secular?
Yeah, Rami Kleinstein secular. You know, he was married and then divorced from to Rita, who's Parsi. She's you know, Iranian ancestry, and she's actually sings in Parsi, and is sort of popular in Iran for, you know, like she's been singing peace songs to the Iranians, and she and he were like I don't know, like the Sonny and Cher, I guess, of Israel, you know, back in the 90s, both very popular. So she probably comes from a little bit more of a traditional family, but they're considered, you know, they're not considered religious in the way that we define things here in Israel. But that special Friday is for everybody. And here's the words. I wanted you to just read the words quickly before we watch the music video, because it doesn't have the English translation, and the video is a hoot. So I think that you'll appreciate it. But just to understand what they're going on, it's by Hadag Nachash, which is a very popular, already they were popular about 10 years ago. They're starting to get a little older to be super hip, but they're still around. They're rappers and hip hop music, and they're all most of them from Jerusalem, and a lot of them grew up in the area around Machane Yehuda Market. So anyone who's been to Jerusalem has been to Machane Yehuda, and hopefully some of you have been there on Fridays when you see how crazy it is with everyone doing their shopping before Shabbat, and then it starts to have a shift where Shabbat's coming in, the prices drop, they're trying to get rid of whatever produce and goods they have before Friday, before Shabbat comes in. And someone will eventually come around and start yelling, you know, it's Shabbat's coming, and then everything closes up. So this is another view of Friday afternoon, that nice time from a more secular point of view. So I'll just quickly go through the lyrics. Friday has arrived and just on time, which I think is funny because, you know, we always say, oh, the Chagim are early, the Chagim are late. You know, Shabbat came in so early, Shabbat came in so late because it changes. You know, right now I'm complaining about how early Shabbat's coming in. So the idea, it's sort of a joke. Friday's arrived and just on time because no one ever says that. How we've been waiting for something coming and it's here, and then it's a sign that another week has passed by quietly. Again, Friday caught me with my tongue hanging out and another stressful week. Everything comes to a stop, and that's just what I need right now. It's not even 3 and I'm getting hungry. We get in the car and yalla, let's go. We drive to Jerusalem to see the family. Shabbat Shalom, we're here. Discussions in the living room, small talk, everyone's an expert on everything. Got newspapers, cooked dishes, how much food. Dad asks, when are you going to buy an apartment? Mom says, now's the time. That's how it is by us. Everything's on the table. All the food in the balagan, compote, sunflower seeds on the sofa, stuffed. The news again warns of rising prices, always in the context of the bank account. Just don't get out of line, and only the family clears my head. Friday's just arrived and just on time. How I've been waiting for something coming. 2:32 p.m. Friday afternoon, peak of madness in Jerusalem's Machne Yehuda market. Prices start to drop in order to sell the goods because soon the Shabbat bride will descend upon us. Here's the old dose. That's sort of a slang term for a religious person, from Gan Atut, which is a little teeny park right next to Machne Yehuda. So this is, again, anyone who's from the area, they get these landmarks. Close up the shop, put the keys in the pocket until Sunday morning. The shutters will stay closed and all the practical thoughts will be put aside. Oops, the cord broke, you know, to put the shutters down. Someone yells Shabbos. Slowly a smile crosses my face as the whole city and the whole country shift down a gear. I like the week, but only partly. Then comes Friday and it's good. Friday's arrived and just on time. Have been waiting for something coming, and if it's here, then it's a sign that another week has passed by quietly. So let's listen to this music video. I think you'll get it. It's quite humorous, and since you have the context from already seeing the words.
שחיכיתי כבר בעצם למה שהוא מרגיע, ואם הוא פה אז זה סימן שהלך עוד שבוע בשקט. שוב שישי תפס אותי עם הלשון בחוץ, אחרי עוד שבוע שלחץ אותי לרוץ. עוצר את הכל, סטופ, וזה בא לי מה זה טוב עכשיו. לא 3 בצהריים, כבר נפתח לי הרעב. נכנסים לאוטו ויאללה בוא ניסע, עולים לירושלים לראות את המשפחה. שבת שלום. הגענו, שיחות סלון, שיחות חולין, לכל המומחים בכל התחומים, עיתונים יש תבשילים. כמה אוכל, יא אלוהים. אבא אומר מתי תקנה דירה, אמא אומרת עכשיו זה הזמן. ככה זה אצלנו, הכל על השולחן, כן, גם כל האוכל, גם כל הבלגן. קומפות ופיצוחים, לספה מפוצצים, בחדשות שוב מטריעים, עלייה במחירים, תמיד בתוך מסגרת ראש, עוד לא לחוק, הכל יגלוש, ורק המשפחה מסדרת לי את הראש. יום שישי הגיע, והוא בא בדיוק בזמן, כמה שחיכיתי כבר בעצם למה שהוא מרגיע, ואם הוא פה אז זה סימן שהלך עוד שבוע בשקט. יום שישי הגיע והוא בא בדיוק בזמן, כמה שחיכיתי כבר בעצם למה שהוא מגיע, ואם הוא פה אז זה סימן שהלך עוד שבוע בשקט. 2:32 שישי בצהריים, שיא הקרחן המחנה יהודה ירושלים. המחיר מתחיל לצנוח, צריך למכור את הסחורה, עוד מעט ירד עלינו שבת המלכה. הנה הדור זכר מגן התות, בדיוק נועל את החנות, המפתחות מכניס לכיס, אז יום ראשון בבוקר יישאר סגור התריס. ישאיר בחוץ את כל המחשבות על תכלס, אופס נקרא לי החוט לאט לאט מתנשט אצלי חיוך, שכל העיר וכל הארץ מורידים הילוך. טוב לי כל השבוע אבל זה טוב חלקי, ואז יום שבוע בשקט.
Okay, I hope you got a kick out of that.
That was pretty weird.
Yeah. But again, you see the same things that you saw in the Rami Kleinstein video, or the words, the same ideas. You know, it's food. You know, it's Shabbat dinner with the family. You saw people making kiddush. It's the sitting on the merpeset on the porch. You know, reading the newspaper. So it's definitely, you feel this shift in this. You feel it in time. You feel the Jewish time here, and everyone has a different way of doing Shabbat, and these were sort of the secular ways of doing Shabbat, but it's definitely something that you feel by living here. So I see
Kayla,
there's a chat, but I don't. Yeah, what's the chat say?
Oh, the chat says very weird, kind of hard to take. Israeli sense of humor is pretty hard-edged, and that's what the chat says, and that is true.
Yes.
That is Israeli humor is really hard-edged. That's a good word for it.
Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah.
And I was going to say, what's the origin of their name, Dag Nachash?
So a dog is a fish and a nachash is a snake. So I don't know where they came up with it.
Okay,
yeah.
good.
Yeah. No, I'm not exactly sure where they came from that, but moving on. So aside from talking about Shabbat as Jewish time, then I think especially this is apropos because not only is today Hanukkah, but you guys are in the thralls of what's coming up. You're in Christmas season. So all right, let me just a few words on Static and Ben El. So these two guys are the hottest thing in the music industry in Israel right now. They are all over the place. They are producers as well. They don't just do their own songs. They produce sort of the hottest people who are actually going abroad. So they've recorded with Pitbull, who I don't know if any of you know, but he's big in the hip hop community. And they also, who was the other person? They've been on the Today Show. They also did something with the Black Eyed Peas, who just performed in Israel this past week. They were here giving a concert. So they're like on the international stage, not just the Israeli stage. So let's just get this going. It's on YouTube. All right, and this will have the words.
סטאט, אין מה לראות, כל קריסמס. בוא להדליק נרות, בוא.
הלוואי שחנוכה יהיה החג הכי מגניב השנה. אצלי תגיד לי מי בא? מי הוזמן? חנוכיה בגודל של כיכר הבימה. קצת מוגזם. חסר לי רק דבר אחד לרוץ קדימה. מה זה? סופגניות עם ריבה! יומי! אין לי מתנות ועץ אשוח, יש לי מטבעות משוקולד וטון המצב רוח. לא מחכה לאף אחד עם כוס חלב ועוגיה, כי מדליק אותי יותר לראות את החנוכיה. כמה אנשים, טוב הם מרגישים, איזה כיף, חג ליהודים, שמח, היום כולנו מכבים. דלק כמו נר של חנוכה, מחשבות רעות נעלמות בחנוכה. כל המדינה נהיית אורות ואווירה טובה. מה אומר הלב? שיער עושה לי קצת מסתובב. סוף, להידלק בחנוכה. סוף, כמו נר של חנוכה. עוד לא פורים אין מסכה. כיפור עבר אמרו סליחה, היה מזמן.
שלומית סיימה לבנות סוכה,
זה בלגן.
דבר איתם על חנוכה,
ילד הפלא מביא לך את הטנא ממלא בבית המקדש לוקח חלק, תשאל את הרבל או מלכלך את הבגד במלחמת מים, הצמד עושה לך צונה. אחי, זה שבועות בכלל. סליחה אחי. אופס.
חנוכיה לי יש, דולקת כולה פרש,
כל כך פרש.
אחד קטן,
חג אדיר.
עשה לי בלגן. כל הלילה נדלק כמו נר של חנוכה, מחשבות רעות נעלמות בחנוכה, כל המדינה נראית טובות ואווירה טובה. מה אומר הלב? זה עושה לי קצת מסורת. נדלק בחנוכה, נדלק כמו נר של חנוכה.
אוקיי, כולם ביחד ו...
חנוכיה לי יש, דולקת כולה פרש, אחד קטן, עשה לי בלגן.
תצטרף.
חנוכיה לי יש, דולקת כולה פרש, אחד קטן, עשה לי בלגן.
יופי, מה עכשיו?
פורים, עבר זמן.
Okay, so that was, I hope you enjoyed that, a little fun. What I think is so, yeah,
So Paula wants to know what the name of those two is again.
Static and Ben L. So the guy with the blonde tips and everything is Static, and the guy who's always never has a shirt on and shows off his abs is Ben L. And they're always together. You never really see one without the other. They're a real team.
And Kayla,
Yeah.
did that one get a lot of views in Israel?
I don't even know. I mean, it's fairly new. I think they've made fun of it a little bit. It's not the greatest song, you know.
It was
But
great.
it's sort of got a niche because there really isn't anything else, you know, aside from the old Ma'ut Sor and like there are no modern Hanukkah songs. So maybe they'll start something. You know, they're very popular because, you know, with the young generation, and they're, you know, very popular on social media. They're judges on, you know, the Masked Singer, they have that here, and they're judges on that. And they're very well, I mean, they're respected as much as they're doing very poppy music. They're very successful at pop music. I just look at them and I'm like, what were they doing in the army? You know, a few years ago. All right, so I'm going to, is there anything else in the chat right now that any questions or anything? I see that I can see that there is chat, but I can't see what it is.
No, we're good. We're good.
We're good. All right, so let's.
Joan had followed up on our comment about Israeli humor, but we're moving on from
Right.
that.
Oh, no, but just one thing I wanted to say about that is, you know, the references to, you know, it's Hanukkah, so they referenced, you know, Yom Kippur is over and Sukkot's over and this and that. And then he starts going on this whole thing about water and water guns and tsunamis. Like, oh, wait, no, that's Shavuot, because there's this thing here in Israel that the secular kids, they all do like water fights on Shavuot, which is, I'm not even sure where that comes from. And then of course there's, you know, they're referencing the next holiday up is Purim. So, which obviously here in Israel is crazy. So let's continue on. All right, so but my next little section is what I want to call is From Can Be Cool. So what's so interesting here is in the past 10, 12 years, I'd say there are a number of people who are absolutely 100% from Orthodox, Haredi even, or you know, jumping between those worlds, who are making music that is being listened to, and they are on the radio, but they're even on TV. So there's this idea that, you know, there's a place for religious people in the mainstream. I guess that's sort of the way I want to sum that up. And a lot of this started with Shuli Rand. So I don't know if any of you saw Ushpizin, but that was a very popular movie, but he's known for Ushpizin. So Shuli Rand, he himself is Haredi, and he's also, aside from being an actor, he's also well known to be a singer. Just one interesting thing, he just got remarried, I think about 2 weeks ago. And what of course is interesting, he was married to someone, and he wanted to get divorced, and she would not grant him the divorce, which is interesting because usually it's the other way around, where men do not grant the women a divorce. And then what ends up happening here, which is a real problem, because we only have because we don't have civil marriage and divorce in Israel per se, that you have a lot of women who are refused gets, who are then, as we say, chained women. They're not able to get remarried. And there's so much uproar about how the rabbis could solve this problem if they wanted to, and they don't. What happens? Here's Shuli Rand, and his wife won't give him a divorce, and he wants to remarry. Another woman is rather famous. She's an actress as well. And what happens? They find a loophole and allow for him to get remarried. And you know, it's not like, it shouldn't have to be that they should have to find a loophole for him or for anyone. So that was really brought to the, you know, the discussion about get refusal and everything, and a bit of the hypocrisy that the men are able, you know, the men, they find allowances for the men, which they don't usually do for the women, was real big discussion here a week or so ago.
Yeah. Hey, Kayla.
Yeah.
So Gwen wrote in, I didn't know a woman could hold up a get. We thought only men could hold up a get.
No, that there are ways for a woman to hold up a get. She can refuse to accept it or something, but.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So.
And by the way, Kayla, the other comment in the chat was Paula saying, listening to the Hanukkah song, I'm sympathizing with the Arab bus drivers, etc., who have listened to these stations all day. Just like here in the States when we're bombarded with Christmas music for weeks. That was the comment.
Right. Yeah. In terms of Shuli Rand, I'm not sure if they didn't. I'm trying to think of the workaround, or the workaround was just saying he's allowed to be married to two women at the same time. So I didn't get into the whole halachic situation here with this, but just that was what's going on. I brought a song by his that's called Ayeka, and Ayeka, for those of you who it might resonate with you a little. Ayeka is when Adam is in the Garden of Eden, and Ayeka means where are you? So it's used a few times actually in our sources. But basically this song that he sings is, he's a devout person of faith who's having questions. And so he's talking to God. He's having a conversation with God about his faith and his doubt. And so it's a prayer, you know, in a way that he's having, and he's using language that also is this biblical language of Ayeka. Instead of saying Apho, he's saying Ayeka. And I have the words for here if you just want to quickly take a look at them, to see a man, you know, a religious man who's having an honest conversation with himself about his own emunah or faith, and as well having that conversation publicly, and also that conversation with God. So I have here, I mentioned that he's not only in the radio, but he's on TV. So he is singing now with Eidan Amadi, who won like the Israeli version of American Idol a few years ago, and is also very popular. So the two of them are sort of singing on TV during one of these you know, reality TV show music competitions that are very popular. I'm not gonna play the whole song, it gets a little repetitive, but just but let's just get a little sound for it, a little feel for it. Hold on.
ריבונו של עולם, אם נדבר גלויות, לפעמים אין לי כוח בעולמך להיות. אנא מפניך אסתתר, מה אטען, מה אצטדק, מה אדבר.
חנון ורחום אין לפניך גלוי, כאן יהודי שהלכות השערה הוא תלוי.
נלחם בה העצבות בייאוש המכרסם
כתולעת השמחה נסתלקה ממני וגם הדעת
קולות מעבר לוחשים לי לעצור
אבל אני מוסיף בחושך לחתום
ושואל
ומבקש
Gonna stop there if there are any other questions or comments before we move on.
Well, Joan put in, oh my God, it's so strange to see a singer in Haredi garb.
Right? I mean,
popular
and
song.
Eidan Ahmadi, he doesn't wear kippah. He's from Jerusalem. His family's Kurdish, traditional, but he's the type of guy who go to Shabbat dinner Friday night and then out to the soccer game. That's probably sums up.
And the fact that they're standing next to each other. And Paula says, remember Matisyahu? Did he influence singers like this?
Yes, no, he's representative of that. He made this idea that, you can be religious and be singing and for a mainstream audience. So he actually fits into this very well. And when a lot of this was, I wouldn't say he's the one who catapulted it, but definitely his success opened it up or made it easier, I think, for Israeli artists to do the same.
But
so he absolutely, I could have picked a song of his and thrown it in here and it would have fit perfectly with the theme.
Fabulous.
All right, so we have another beautiful song. This is by Yonatan Razel. He and his family, they're a Jerusalem family who all are now religious. And they're sort of like the Von Trapps, they all play different instruments and everything like that. So they had a sort of a little band together, but he's one of the older kids and he's broken out on his own. And he didn't write a prayer or write a song. He took a biblical passage, basically, he took from the story of Jacob, when Jacob is has this dream in Beit El, and he's about to, crossing over before he goes over to meet Esau. So that's from Genesis, and then he takes from the Psalms at the end. So now what I love about this is not just that he has a beautiful music video where it's just him in this beautiful lit room playing the piano, but I took the version here where he is singing at the yearly Memorial Day concert. Here, there's Memorial Day that leads into Independence Day, and all throughout the country there are the memorial ceremonies, and then a lot of singing Israeli songs, but sort of the sad songs or songs that were written about people who've fallen in battle and things like that. So the context here is not just that was popular on the radio, but he is playing at one of these this is the one in Rabin Square. So this is the big concert nationally.
קטונתי מכל החסדים ומכל האמת שעשית את עבדך. קטונתי מכל החסדים ומכל האמת שעשית את עבדך. קטונתי מכל החסדים ומכל האמת שעשית את עבדך. במקלי עברתי את הירדן, אתה הייתי לשני מחנות, הצילני נא, הצילני נא, הצילני נא. במקלי עברתי את הירדן, אתה הייתי לשני מחנות, הצילני נא, הצילני נא, הצילני נא. קטונתי מכל החסדים ומכל האמת אשר עשית את עבדך. כן, אני קטונתי מכל החסדים ומכל האמת אשר עשית את עבדך. במקלי עברתי את הירדן, אתה הייתי לשני מחנות, הצילני נא, הצילני נא, הצילני נא. הצילני נא, הצילני נא, הצילני נא. כי חסדך גדול עליי, כי חסדך גדול עליי, והצלת, הצלת נפשי, שור תחתיה. במקלי עברתי את הירדן, אתה הייתי לשני מחנות, הצילני נא, הצילני נא.
Okay. I'm cutting it short. It's a beautiful song. I hope you agree.
Oh,
But
that's beautiful.
there he is, decked out with his tzitzis hanging out, Rabbi.
Wow. Wow. So he's not, he doesn't have his head, he doesn't have a hat on. So he's
No, he has a dark, he wears a black velvet kippah.
a black velvet
Usually.
kippah and his tits is hanging, and he's playing on stage with a woman whose hair isn't covered.
Yeah, yeah.
And in Rabin Square, which is essentially the secular capital of Israel.
Yes, yes. And he's playing at a nationalistic thing because it's for, it's a Zionistic place, right? So he's
Mhm.
obviously, he's national religious, right?
Right.
But he's playing at a, Haredim don't recognize Independence Day and therefore don't really recognize so much Memorial Day, a little bit, but a lot less. And he's clearly making it, in a way, his singing here is making a political stand.
It sure is. Kayla, there were a couple of comments from before.
Sure.
Just Matis Yahu played here in Woodstock in the Bearsville Theater a number of years ago. Matis Yahu, Leah said that he actually grew up in my synagogue, the Reconstructionist synagogue in White Plains. And then he became Chabad when he was a young adult. Now he's actually moved on from that, but that's a whole other story.
He keeps, as we say, going through his Gilgulim. He keeps,
Right.
he's a searcher. So I think he's a seeker. He's
I
always
think so
searching.
too. And then also
Um,
regarding the question in the chat regarding the Haredim who are singing in these popular venues, like for instance, Shuli Rand, would he not sing with a woman on stage? Are there compromises going on? They're all making compromises to do this.
They're all making compromises. I haven't seen him sing with a woman on stage,
Mhm.
but I can't answer that for sure.
But
About
they're
whether he would or he would not.
Yeah, they're finding their way.
Yeah, but I mean, I have not seen him sing with a woman on stage.
Well, that song was beautiful.
This Katonti, I love it. I really love it.
And he's a beautiful
okay.
performer. Yeah.
He is. So you could Google him and find a bunch of other stuff. But now I want to say is aside from singing our prayers, we talked about the rhythm, let's go on a spiritual journey, and we're going to start off with Shute Nivua. So here's where do they get their name? So this is a band that were very popular about 10 years ago. And then they're, all bands, they split off and go on to solo projects. So some of them are, now having their solo careers. And so this is a quote from Gemara, right? And that's where they get their name. On the day that the temple was destroyed, prophecy, Nivua, was taken from the prophets and given to the fools and the babies. So to the Shute, so they're the fools of prophecy. So that's, that tells you something already about the band, right? This is where they're getting their name from. And they did something very similar to what Yonatan Razal just did, was that they're taking the lyrics from traditional sources, in this case from the Kabbalah, from the Zohar, and making music around it. And a little bit about the band. So the band is made up of members who are, I guess you could say, secular or traditional and religious, and some of them who are Baal Tshuva. So if they're not all coming from the same religious viewpoint, but they're all making music together.
Wow.
So let's hear this song. Is also beautiful. It has a long introduction, so I'm going to fast forward through some of that. We'll be here forever.
כל גלגל המתגלגל ממטה למעלה, מרכבות סתומות הולכות ומתגלגלות. כל נעימות עולה ויורד, הולך ומשוטט בעולם. כל שופר נמשך בעומקי המדרגות, ומסובב הגלגל סביב. כל גלגל המתגלגל ממטה למעלה, מרכבות סתומות הולכות ומתגלגלות. כל נעימות עולה ויורד, הולך ומשוטט בעולם. כל שופר נמשך בעומקי המדרגות, מסובב הגלגל סביב. כל אוי 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 אוי
Song repeats itself, so I don't want to continue on. I see some more chat things. Rabbi, what's going on in the
Oh,
chat?
no, nothing recent.
Okay.
I've got everything.
All right. So what's interesting is Avram Tal's gone on a solo career, again, also very popular here, and he recorded a song with Shlomo Artzi, which Shlomo Artzi is
An icon.
the icon of the Israeli music scene, very secular, and they did a song together which was really talking to God. So the idea that spirituality isn't only for the religious. Here is Muki, who's also secular, and here's a song that the name of the song is I just went the wrong way. I think this is covering you up. Can I move that out of the way? Here we
Yeah,
go.
see if you can move that out of the way.
Elohim. The name of the song is God. So, I mean, how, this is a secular guy. And look at the lyrics. He's singing a God. You're the earth, you're the life, you're creation, you're the years, you're love without match, you are hate and the tangible, you're jealousy and ambiguity. I mean, this is deep theological stuff. And it's, was #1 for weeks on the hit parade. So
Is that right? Hold on one second.
Yeah, sure.
And let people keep looking at the words for a minute. Ann Silverman put in that a movie called Tango Shalom is about a Haredi man who wants to dance the tango in a competition.
Right.
Yes, Rabbi, it's in the West Hurley Library, we have Hoopla, and it's a free service through the West Hurley Library, and this movie was in it.
Did you watch it, Ann?
Oh, I did. Amazing.
Do you know this movie?
And it's done here. It's not Israeli made.
Do you know this movie, Kayla?
I saw when I was visiting my mom in Florida, it was playing at the cinema that we went to. We didn't see that. We saw the new Wes Anderson movie. That was, if you like him, it was good. The French Dispatch. Yeah. So we didn't see that, but it looked funny. It looked like fun,
It was.
I don't know. Is he allowed to, does he have to dance with a man because he's not allowed to do mixed dancing? I mean,
not telling in case anybody
all
wants
right,
to see it.
but that was what I was thinking when I saw the poster. I'm like, that's interesting.
Carol, the movie's name is Tango Shalom. I hadn't heard of it. That's great. So is Mookie, who is Mookie?
Mookie is another very well-known artist. He secular, he's probably in his 40s now. Again, he's one of these people who's all over. They've the different, and there's the American Idol, and then there's The Voice, and then there's the Masked Singer, and then they're picking the person to go to Eurovision. So he's one of the judges as well on many of these shows. He has, he also, what was really great was during, I don't even know which one it was it Tsukeitan or whatever? He was going down to the South and singing in the bomb shelters when people were stuck there for a long time, a few years ago, for like a month.
So just to repeat, so he's a secular Israeli who's written a song about...
Israeli, very popular.
Written a song about God. The song's called God. And
this song is called God, and
it was a big hit.
Yeah, very big hit.
That's
very
great.
Big hit. I have to tell you, any of these songs, they have to be a big hit, because if I know them, that's because they were, they got a lot of play. And this is the official video, which is well done and produced.
השנים, אתה אהבה חסרת הפנים. אתה בשנאה ובאין הממשות, אתה בקנאה ובחוסר ודאות, באפסות ההיות, ריקנות הימים. כשאני נושם, כשאני נוגע, פוקח עיניים, מביט ויודע, שומע אמת נקייה ממילים, אני מכיר אותך, אלוהים, אני לא מפחד ממך, כל כך רוצה לפגוש אותך, אין לי שום ספק בך, אתה בי ואני בך, רק אל תיתן לי לשכוח, אלוהים, אני לא מפחד ממך, כל כך רוצה לפגוש אותך, אין לי שום ספק בך, אתה בי ואני בך, רק אל תיתן לי לשכוח, באבק הדרכים, לפרוץ הסערה, בנפול השמיים, בשתיקה הגדולה, באותם געגועים לאיזו ארץ רחוקה. אני רואה אותך מאחורי האין סוף ומעבר לפינה, קיום בר חלוף שרובו המתנה, במכת האגרוף של אובדן האמונה. בסוף הפחד מלמות ומהטעות הבאה, בנטייה להתמכרות ובבדידות שבשגרה, בהזדמנות הקרובה, באפשרות להמראה. אני מכיר אותך אלוהים, אני לא מפחד ממך, כל כך רוצה לפגוש אותך, שום ספק בך, אתה בי ואני בך, רק אל תיתן לי לשכוח. אלוהים, אני לא מפחד ממך, כל כך רוצה לפגוש אותך, אין לי שום ספק בך, אתה בי ואני בך, רק אל תיתן לי לשכוח.
I'm just gonna stop it there so that we can get to the other songs.
Cool.
So, I mean, pretty deep stuff here, Mookie.
Oh, by the way, Susan asked if she could see the words in the last paragraph, which is partly
Oh
obscured.
yeah,
in
let
her
me move
car.
this around. If I move it while it's playing, it stops it. So here, let me put this back up top. Yes. All right, you see it? Is man more body or soul? I mean, it's very deep. I mean, this guy read his theology and his philosophy, that's for sure. Okay,
Wow.
so let's continue on. Yeah.
Oh. David Kagan asked, is Mookie also in the audience watching himself sing?
I think that was him sitting at a bar, sort of having these thoughts. Maybe he was having these thoughts when he was having a drink at a bar and then turned it into a song. There's no audience here. I think it's done in a studio or something.
Right.
Band.
Awesome.
Have to ask the producers of the video.
What a great song.
Okay, anyway, the next topic is I'm bringing some other people, and I really realized, wait, gotta bring some women. And wait, that's my cell phone's riveting over here. I put it on mute. One of the reasons I would say of this move of having prayer or having theology or having people who are not just really completely secular or more traditional had to do with a shift in Israeli music from being just Ashkenazi to actually being Mizrahi performers. So for a long time, Mizrahi music, which is, people who came from Arab countries and everything, was more of like a underground music scene. They weren't the ones they had like their own radio stations. It wasn't mainstream, right? To put it in American context would almost be sort of like, country music or something, which would only be on a country music station. It wouldn't be crossover hits and stuff. Even though, as we all know, I don't know if you're with us, but in the United States, I think country music outsells other music by far. So it's really what's the mainstream. But in our New England, New York context. So the same thing happened here where little by little, a lot of Mizrahi artists were now crossing over, and to the point now where most of the, I'd say predominant, there's a lot of Mizrahi music now, or a lot of Mizrahi artists who are the biggest artists in Israel. One of them we're going to hear from after the next person, but Sarit Haddad, huge in the 90s. She's selling out concerts, and she's one of the premier performers in Israel, never mind female performers in Israel. And just a teeny bit of an aside, about a month and a half ago, she actually came out of the closet, which was really, if she had done that 20 years ago, it would have been like, it probably would have ruined her career. And she did it now, and everyone's like, oh yeah, okay, that's why you never got married. Okay, Sarit, Yofi, and moved on. It wasn't a big deal. Which I think says a lot also, not only just where Israel is in terms of LGBTQ, but also that within the more traditional Mizrahi community, there's also been movement to be more accepting of that. So anyway, here's Sarit singing Shema Yisrael, and she sings it all over the radio.
כשהלב בוכה, רק אלוקים שומע, הכאב עולה מתוך הנשמה, אדם נופל לפני שהוא שוקע בתפילה קטנה חותכת הדממה. שמע ישראל אלוקיי, אתה כל יכול, נתת לי את חיי, נתת לי הכל. בעיניי דמעה, הלב בוכה בשקט, וכשהלב שותק, הנשמה זועקת. שמע ישראל אלוקיי, עכשיו אני לבד, חזק אותי אלוקיי, עשה שלא אבחר. הכאב גדול ואין לאן לברוח, עשה שיגמר כי לא נותר בי כוח. כשהלב בוכה, הזמן עומד מלכת, האדם רואה את כל חייו פתאום. אל הלא נודע הוא לא רוצה ללכת, לאלוקיו קורא על סף תהום. שמע ישראל אלוקיי, אתה כל יכול, נתת לי את חיי, נתת לי הכל. בעיניי דמעה, הלב בוכה בשקט, וכשהלב שותק, הנשמה זועקת. שמע ישראל אלוקיי, עכשיו אני לבד, חזק אותי אלוקיי, עשה שלא אבחר. הכאב גדול ואין לאן לברוח, עשה שיגמר כי לא נותר בי כוח.
Okay, I'm just going to stop it there. Can you hear in her voice? Can you hear the difference in the scale that it's this Mideastern Arabic music scale? Can you hear that? So she's got this song. You hear her sing, and other people who are these Mizrahi singers, and they're using that Eastern or Middle Eastern music that's different, and it sounds different, and now it's mainstream, and these guys are selling out the hugest, Caesarea and the soccer stadiums and every place that they play. So that's, I think, been a huge change in the Israeli music scene in the past decade as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Barbara Info mentioned that she heard a young boy sing this on YouTube.
Right.
And it was at a Israel's Got Talent kind of show.
Yeah.
And it's gotten so many views here. It's come through my Facebook feed over and over again. Yeah.
Right. No, so I mean, this is incredibly, popular, and again, Sarit Haddad, she was groundbreaking in terms of being a woman and being the main crossing over. So there are a lot of, and super, super popular.
So David Schestinger, who lived in Israel for many years, he says, sounds like Arik Einstein. Arik, I'm not sure what you meant, David. And Joan Goodman says, it just seems to be a minor scale. I don't hear a different modality. Joan, it's in the trills and in the runs and in the, I'm sure you're familiar with it.
Right, yeah, so again, this isn't it's exactly what you said, Rabbi. You can hear it in the exactly what you said. Don't need to say it again. But Arik Einstein, he's coming from the Ashkenazi European, the music that he was making and that others before them were making was very influenced by a lot of the music that was the early music of Israel was very a lot of klezmer sounding and accordion, things that you would sing around the kumzitz, on the kibbutz. So different instruments, different scales, different rhythms. And there's been a big change of bringing in more instruments, ouds and other different types of Mideastern instruments into the music scene as well. And Idan Reichel is great at that. So I don't have any Idan Reichel here, but that's his whole project, is bringing in music from all different parts of different cultures, and whether it's bringing in Ethiopians or Jews from Arab countries who sing in Arabic, or just Arabs singing in Arabic, and really making a tapestry of the different instruments that there are, and different languages and different scales and everything. So that's something Idan Reichel's done a lot with. So I'm going to go to the next person. The next slide is Omer Adam, who right now is the #1 artist in Israel for the past year or two. And he, again, is Mizrahi, and this is only one of his many songs, but Modeh Ani is the morning prayer that we all say in the morning, or people say in the morning when they wake up, saying, "Thank you, God, for giving me another day," basically. Can you already hear that different, I don't even know what instrument that was being played? Mm-hmm. So bringing in, and you're going to hear here, I think maybe a little bit more of that Mideastern influence on the song, on the music itself.
מודה אני כל בוקר שהחזרת את נשמתי, מודה אני על בגד שנחת על גופי, שלא יהיה לי קר, אתה שומר עליי. מודה אני כל בוקר על האור, על עצם היותי, מודה אני על לחם שנחת לשולחני, שלא אהיה רעב, שלא אדע כאב. על אין ספור חיוכיי מודה אני, על כל כישרונותיי ועל כל שיריי, את כולם מקדיש לך. דע לך, שמודה אני לך. אצעק לך, אדיר שמך, אליך אקרא, לך חיי, לך ליבי, לתודתי, אליך אקרא, אליך אקרא. מודה אני כל בוקר על כוחי, על אבי ועל אמי, מודה אני על גשם שנתת בשדותיי, לדאוג לאוהביי נתת לי חיי. על יום המנוחה מודה אני, על שפע וברכה למשפחה, כל כולי רק בזכותך. דע לך, שמודה אני לך. אצעק לך, אדיר שמך, אליך אקרא, לך חיי, לך ליבי, לתודתי, אליך אקרא. על כל כישלונותיי מודה אני, על אכזבותיי, פחדיי ומכשוליי, הם כולם לטובתי. אין אחר בליבי, רק לך מודה אני. אצעק לך,
Okay.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
Why does it keep playing? Stop. Okay. And did you catch the psalm that was, they, took one of the psalms, it's L'chuna Ranina from Kabbalat Shabbat and
Mhm,
use that in the
mhm.
bridge. And I hope that you could hear not only the different instruments, but also in his voice, a little bit of the scale and also the phrasing. It wasn't straight 4/4, which what were you used to, it was sort of, and that is how some of the PU team that they're different, that what's the technical term for it? Help me out. I don't
What,
want to
the
say rhythm,
meter?
it's not rhythm. The meter's different. Yes.
Kayla, there was some good comments here. One is that, so we were listening to the oud, and I guess it's pronounced, David said, kamanche, which is the vertical stringed instrument with a bow, which are mainstays of Arab orchestras. I mean, that is, if you listen to Arab radio stations, you'll hear these instruments and those orchestrations all the time. So that's cool. And that song was amazing. And Susan Falk asked, so is this a popular song? Is this on Galgalatz?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Every single song here is on Galgalatz. I almost only listen to Galgalatz. I don't channel hop very much while I'm
So
here.
isn't that amazing, Susan, that songs like that are being played on
and
Top
when I
40?
say he's very popular, last year, well, before COVID, he had the biggest attendance of any concert ever in Israel as a record breaker.
Whoa, where was it?
Yarkon Park, which is the outdoor park, which is where I saw Aerosmith and Queen with Adam Lambert and Bon Jovi, and where Madonna and Justin Timberlake and the Rolling Stones have played. He sold out 2 nights in a row.
Wow.
So, I mean, the guy's huge.
Kayla, I think that the comparison you make to country music and this Mizrahi music, goes deep, because country music also does not shy away from talking about faith and God and
or Christian rock for that matter. Of course, no, not at all.
But this is on the mainstream station in Israel. That is fascinating. Joan asked before, and what a beautiful song. I wanted to learn it right away. Let's see.
More questions?
Kayla, do you have any classical connections, arias and like opera? Joan, I don't know. This is Kayla could answer that, but this whole thing's on pop music, as you know.
Right. So what's the question about opera?
Do you have any opera connections, Kayla?
No, I don't know anything about opera at all.
Okay, so
I'm not the person to ask.
That's the answer to that question. Okay,
I did see Turandot here at Caesarea. That was pretty cool in the Roman amphitheater.
Wow.
That was many years ago. But I know pretty much nothing about opera music. I know that the Israeli opera here is popular, and they do performances in Caesarea and also at Masada. And they take these they take very famous operas and translate them, some of them actually into Hebrew, or they sing them in the native. When I saw Turandot, it was in the whatever language, I think it was in Italian, and then they have the simultaneous translation like you get at the Met anywhere.
Right. But back to that song we just listened to. Oh wait, who does what, Joan? The Israeli opera companies.
Right. There's the Israeli opera in Tel Aviv.
Yeah. So, but back to that song, Susan Falk says, we don't have any lyrics as totally spiritual as that in our pop music. That's right. That was a straight up, incredible spiritual song. That was amazing.
Right. And it's not alone. I mean, I could have found others as well. I just wanted you to have Omer Adam is Mr. Number One. And I think we're running short on time, but very quickly.
One more song?
Well, if we have time. This, I mentioned Avram Tal. He's the one who sang the Shutei Nevuah song, the Kabbalistic song, and then went off on his own. And so I usually had sometimes put this when we're talking about Mookie is singing about Elohim, right? He's singing about Elohim. So here's Shlomo Artzi, who is, as I mentioned, how do you describe Shlomo Artzi? He's the man, it's like Bruce Springsteen, he's like, and still he's in his 70s and still selling out concerts. Incredibly, very secular. And Avram Tal, they did a duet. So that's pretty cool. And then the song is called Elohai, my God. So it's a song about these very secular guys, and one of them's very old school, singing about my God. So I don't have the English for this. A little bit, you can see it's filmed in Tel Aviv. There's Shlomo. That's Avram Tal walking. No keep on his head, no keep hanging out.
שאלתי אז את אחותי, אז לא פלא שכלום לא פשוט וכלום לא מושלם כמו בריאת העולם. וכשאימי קרא לי לשוב כי היה לה חשוב, לא שמעתי אותה ושוב חזר בזמן ותראה אותי קורא לך אלוהי, ועניין אחד לא סגור עליו, אם אתה יש לו למה לא בא אליי. מסע כזה איך לומר מוזר, ולכל דבר מצאתי לי תירוץ. בגדתי בה וליבך נסגר, סלחי לי כן, עשיתי שטות. אז לא פלא שאנשים שהיו הלכו לדרכם, כי כלום לא מושלם. נהייתי קצת בודד בעולם, תלוי על סולם, מסע כזה של שנים רבות, ובצומת לוד עוד מתפללים, תן כוחות לעבור עוד יום מול כל שונאינו הגדולים. אז לא פלא שבפיקפם מלא ושופכים את הלב, צוחקים עם בדרן. פתחנו לך מוסך בקרני קניון ביילון, ולא באת לך. ותראה אותי קורא לך אלוהי, ועניין אחד לא סגור עליו, אם אתה ישנו למה לא בא אליי. ושוב סתם תחנה בזמן, ותראה אותי קורא לך אלוהי, ועניין אחד לא סגור עליו, אם אתה ישנו למה לא בא אליי.
Okay, let me stop my sharing here and come back and see you all. Wow. Hi, everybody.
It ended with a shofar.
And with the shofar, right? You gotta have some, but what I love about that clip is, they're singing, everyone's pointing up and they're singing to God, right? And Elohai, but it's like two incredibly secular people and downtown Tel Aviv on some regular, rainy winter day. And, that contrast, but that's Israel. I mean, Israel's just contrasts no matter where you are constantly between the ancient and the modern and the religious and the secular and the traditional and the whatever. That's one of the reasons I love being here. It's, never gets bored.
That's right. And this is why taking trips with Kayla and the other people at Keshet is the best way to get to know Israel, because they share with us the nuance in such a cogent way. Thank you, Kayla.
We try. Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, any other questions or comments? This was a fascinating look. Thank you, says Paula. David says, miss you, Yossi Banai.
Right, no, you're right. No, there's Yossi Banai, the whole Banai family. They had an exhibit at the Tower David Museum just about the Banai family. That's like how important they are.
Beautiful presentation, Kayla. Thank you so much. Toda, different comments. Yeah, thank you. I learned a lot. That's another one.
Yeah,
that was great, Kayla. Thank you.
Really, my pleasure. My pleasure. I would like to be doing this, live, IRL, as we say, but this is a pretty good plan B.
That was awesome. So good to see you.
Good to see you all too.
And the only comments are wonderful thank yous. Yeah.
Okay, great. Wonderful.
That was really something. I'm really grateful. Thank you. All right. We're off. Come back at 6:30. We'll light the 8th candle tonight if you want. Kayla, last night of Hanukkah for you. And
my candles are burnt out already.
Okay. All right. I hope I see you in person before too long.
Jonathan, are there any problems with your trip?
Hold on. Let me pause the recording.